Shane Gillis clowns the Austin comedy scene. I didn't do this, did I? I did. No, I didn't do this, did I? No, I didn't do this. 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 Yeah, big up MJ. When they start thinly veiling it. Good point. Good point. Let's do this one. Shane Gillis clowns the Austin comedy scene.
Well, that's what if you, come on, man, that's just hanging around the cellar. That's just table stuff, you know?
True.
That's just being at the table.
It's nice. That's a nice Templar. That's where that kind of talk belongs, dude. You can't
give it out to the civilians for free, dude.
No, bro. You can't diffuse the legendary hang.
So many fucking assassins down here. We got
Alright, so during a recent episode of Matt and Shane's secret podcast, Shane Gillis and Matt McCusker spent some time talking about the overall comedy war that's happening right now between Austin, Texas, and pretty much the rest of the world. And even though they both live in Austin...
I'm sorry, I love that. Let's go back one bit. I love that Knights Templar fucking civilians line. I like that Shane's so tapped into all that shit. I like that he's tapped in. One more time. That was really good.
Well, that's what if you, come on, man, that's just hanging around the cellar. That's just table stuff, you know?
True.
That's just being at the table.
It's nice. That's a nice Templar. That's where that kind of talk belongs, dude. You can't give
it out to the civilians for free, dude.
No, bro. You can't diffuse the legendary hang.
So many fucking assassins down here. We got
Alright, so during a recent episode of Matt and Shane's secret podcast, Shane Gillis and Matt McCusker spent some time talking about the overall comedy war that's happening right now between Austin, Texas, and pretty much the rest of the world. And even though they both live in Austin and do sets at the mothership every single week, it seems like they don't want to be associated with the Austin comedy scene whatsoever. And it's almost like they'd take it as an insult if you classified them as Austin comics, which is a completely valid feeling to have. Like, sure, Matt and Shane are great friends with the entire Rogan sphere, but that doesn't change the fact that their friends are complete hacks. And they know this. I mean, you just saw them making fun of how...
Yeah, but they're only doing this now because the tide has turned a little bit. I think some people were saying it on the Shane Gillis Reddit and the Matt and Shane My Secret Reddit as well. They're only saying this sort of thing now because the tide has changed, you know? It's now cool, it's now fun, it's now in to take the piss out of them, but when they were, especially when Shane was trying to get in with Joe, you know, there was nothing bad could be said about that whole scene. Now that they're in and they're solidified and they got their own thing going on, you could take the piss of it. And now that it's kind of, you know, commonly accepted that those guys are lame, JRE and shit, that whole Austin scene is kind of cringe. But before, you know, it wasn't that. Before it wasn't that.
How Joe Rogan considers him and his posse as assassins, or the Comedy Death Squad, and shortly you'll see them make fun of how pretentious it is to consider comedy as a sacred art form like Joe Rogan and Andrew Schulz have on several JRE episodes. So they're very aware of the bad reputation that Austin has garnered over the years. And they obviously know about all the hate that their buddies receive online, because in this next clip they admit to watching YouTube videos criticizing the Rogan sphere and how Joe Rogan has ruined comedy. So something tells me that the Elephant Graveyard's recent video about that whole scene left a long-lasting impact on Shane Gillis and Matt McCusker.
I would love if they had, because I don't, as great as Elephant Graveyard is, as great as all this stuff is, right? No one is sitting here thinking whatever Elephant Graveyard said is gospel, right? What he says goes. That's a stonewall truth. So he's just making some guesses. So he's interpreting certain things. He's reading into certain things. Some of it is obviously accurate, but not all of it. It would be quite nice to hear some of these guys refute some of this stuff, right? Push back, argue their other point. Do you know what I mean? But the fact that they don't makes me think that maybe he's actually right on everything, you know? Because they kind of, but I feel like they don't. I feel like they avoid replying directly or responding to those type of videos. Because they feel as if they do, it's going to bring more attention to it. It's like, it's too late, bro. Elephant Graveyard is certified. Like, he's got his own thing going on. That video's probably got millions of views already. You're not going to make it more widely seen and widely spread. It's been seen by everybody. Everyone's fucking seen it or heard about it. But they just try to ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist, you know? It's like Red Bar. For the longest time, they just pretended if they just don't mention him, it's going to make him go away. But it's like, it doesn't work like that, you know? Just address it head on. There's no biggie. But they get very scared. And I wonder if there's fear of responding or their reluctance to respond is more of an indication that what these videos are saying is true. So maybe a lot of these video guesses and shit from Podcast Cringe, American Redact, Too Lazy to Try, maybe these people are way more spot on than what we think, because comedians really rarely respond to them. You know, I wonder, man, because you saw from Duncan Trussell. Look at Duncan Trussell. That Duncan Trussell reply, like, you could tell that fucking Elephant Graveyard video, especially because Elephant Graveyard dedicated a section to him. You know, he dedicated a whole section to him, praising him for his contribution, how good he was on JRE in the beginning, and then kind of like laying it out how it went downhill. You know, the slow deterioration of fucking Duncan Trussell on there. He's slow but sudden shift to the right and shit. And it really struck a nerve, because that video reply from Duncan Trussell came from a point of just being angry, you know, pissed off. It was a strange reply. It didn't really make any sense. So maybe these guys are way more spot on than what I think.
I still get moved every time when I see a dude with like genuine disabilities doing his thing on stage, because to me it's like, I don't know, I would give in. It would just be too much for me. I don't know that my spirit would be resilient enough to fucking practice the sacred art form that is stand-up comedy.
Dude, it's such a sacred art. And that's what the thing that's driving me during the Comedy Wars is how sacred the art is. That's all.
Yeah, dude.
Again, a little bit disingenuous, because they're laughing, but it's like, you take your career seriously, you know? Like, let's be real, you know? The career that Shane has now, especially in comedy, has allowed him to probably be like a multi-millionaire now. He's got a super hot girlfriend. He's doing all the cool projects he's ever wanted to do. He's involving all his friends. Yeah, it's not a sacred art, but it's a serious enough occupation that it's totally transformed his life, you know? So let's you know what I mean? Yes, it's fun to laugh at those guys taking it as a sacred art, but it's also, you know, it did a lot for you.
Comedy Wars will pass.
Yeah, well, they'll pass. It'll pass.
This is what I got to go to New York last week.
I'm going back to Philly for about 6 months, so
yeah.
I'm out. Fuck the Austin scene, dude.
No.
I'm back. East Coast till I die, bro. East Coast all day. Well, we were watching nasty YouTube videos about the Comedy Wars. Yeah. And I was like, what are we doing? Let's get something positive.
Grind the tape.
No, I had to stop.
Put on fucking Grind the Tape.
So much, dude. The fate of the universe hangs in the balance, bro.
Well, the Comedy Wars?
Yes.
Dude. The Austin comedy scene's too powerful. LA and New York need to unite to destroy the Austin comedy scene. How are they going to stop it?
It's just so we have all the butt wipes.
Yeah, big up Brian. I swear there's far more YouTubers and chatters 10 times funnier than most of these comedians. I don't like it though. I'm not liking this shift of where a lot of these people that are doing this comedy podcast commentary shit are now starting to run bits in their content. I don't like that. If you're gonna laugh at these guys and point out some of their fucking dumb shit that they do, point and laugh at it, but don't run bits. Don't start then running bits in your commentary as a way to prove that, oh, I'm a funny comedian, and then you start doing comedy. I don't want that. I don't want to start seeing fucking people that do these channels start going on comedy tours and shit. Please no. Please, God, no. We don't need any more comedy. We don't need any more comedy. Just commentate, make your little jokes and shit, but let's not start running bits in our commentary, please. Let's not running bits in our reactions. I beg of you, please. I don't want to see that personally.
And so throughout this podcast, Shane Gillis kept bringing up how he's from Philadelphia, which to me just shows how much he doesn't want to be labeled as a comedian from Austin, even though he currently lives there, which is just so funny to me. I mean, it'd be like if Joe Rogan considered himself as a Boston comic just because he started.
He does though. He does though. That's the thing. Joe does actually think of himself as a Boston comic. He says it all the time.
Started doing comedy there.
Like, oh, there's Tim Dillon too. Yes. There's a new Tim Dillon JRE episode just dropped. I'm gonna listen to that later, get some clips, and I'll share it with you with the when we do the other stream later tonight. Tim Dillon fucking JRE just dropped. Yes.
That is the length that Shane's willing to go to separate himself from this army of healthy hacks. He even considers the podcast he does with Matt McCusker to be a Philly podcast, even though.
Yeah, big up my guy Coiler. Actually, Coiler made a post. Maybe I'll talk about it later in the stream later. Actually, Coiler made a comment that I saved. I forgot to mention it. Coiler was like, maybe all stand up is just bad, but I don't think it is. I think that's sometimes that's why I want to do the balance of having the Patreon be me watching specials, because I think sometimes with shows like this, maybe we do stand up a disservice, because this could be seen as basically a hater stream, right? It could be seen as just a pure hater stream. Whereas I think there is good shit out there. We're just looking at the worst shit. I think there is good shit out there. We're just looking at the bad stuff. And there needs to be a balance, you know? But there's a lot of bad stuff. That's the problem. Like, you go on that r/stand-up Reddit, and there's just pages of just terrible comedians. So I just don't know where to find them, you know? That's the problem. I don't know where to find them. Like, there's not many. Yeah, Dan Soder's funny. I heard, actually, this guy special, or maybe I react to that too. This guy special is meant to be good. I heard this guy special is good. It's like the title was like Black Israelite or something. I heard this guy special is good. People said Joe DeRosa special is good. I've not watched that yet still. So there are some good ones. Brendan Sagalow. See, okay, cool. There are some good ones. Big up on 10 Toes. Yeah, exactly. I started watching him stand up again and been trying to explore my interest again. Yeah, it's important, man. You gotta like have some. To be fair, you know what I think, right? Fucking opinion here, or unpopular opinion would be this. I think in order to take the piss out of things, you also have to be able to enjoy things. I think if you only take the piss out of things, you won't know. I think if you don't know how to enjoy things, you won't know how to take the piss out of things. Because if you know what you enjoy, you know what you don't enjoy. You know, if that makes sense. You have to also be able to kind of know what's good and say it's good, even if it's come from someone that you don't like. Like if Lucia Gomez tomorrow puts out a good special, even though I don't like his comedy, I can be objective and say, yeah, that special was fucking good. You know, same with the Joe Rogan series I did on Patreon. Like there was one special that I thought was really funny. The rest of them weren't, but there was one was in particular. You just say it is and keep it moving. So yeah, I agree on that one. I think it's important to have that balance.
Now all of the recent episodes have been filmed in one of their huge Austin mansions.
I talk to the people in the New York, and everyone talks a big game, and then when they see you, they're very interested in knowing how that's working, and can they get a little piece of that? There's a hopelessness out there. You got LA. You say, what are the podcasts that you can go on here? They got nothing. They got
LA?
the Bad Friends universe.
No, there's a lot. There's so many. LA and New York are doing great.
No, New York's doing great on the podcast.
LA's got a ton.
If you're Bill Burr's friend,
Glassman's out there.
Yes, that's number 3.
Yeah. There's a lot.
How many name a fourth. Name a fourth.
How many are fucking here?
We got the Matt and Shane Secret Podcast. We got the Joe Rogan
Philly.
Experience.
That's East Coast all day.
You got to take the Stuff Island being here.
Philly all day.
That's Philly podcast.
What am I, Australian podcasting?
Yeah. Philly. Right. I also like LA. I was just out there filming a special. It's really nice. I like
LA's
everywhere.
great. Comedy Store's fucking great.
I know. I like everywhere.
Everything's
I hope it doesn't devolve into a Biggie Tupac situation. I don't want to see. I don't see Joe DeRosa get shot in a '92. What a good time. Everyone will relax and have a good time.
So just for some context here, Shane Gillis moved to Austin back in 2023, drawn in by its tax perks and proximity to Joe Rogan's mothership. But now that Shane Gillis is pretty much Taylor Swift for the average frat guy, he really doesn't need to...
Nah, that's not fair. That's not fair. That's not fair. Taylor Swift for the average frat guy. He's a Taylor Swift of comedy. That's not fair at all. Come on, man. That's not fair at all. Come on. I know he's popular, but just because you're popular doesn't mean you're Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is like... She's like commercial, you know? She's commercial. He still does his brand of humor, but he does it on like a big stage. I don't think you could describe that as being fucking Taylor Swift. I don't think so. Maybe you could say he's like the white Dave Chappelle in a way, right? Super popular, but is able to do his own brand of comedy on that stage. He doesn't neuter or wash or water down his comedy, but to call him Taylor Swift is it's a bit unfair. Bro, he has a Bud Light commercial with Post Malone. That doesn't, come on. Come on, that doesn't make... You cannot like that commercial, but it doesn't mean he's Taylor Swift. Be for real.
Be there anymore. And frankly, Joe needs Shane on his stage more than Shane needs Austin. Or Rogan, for that matter. And now that Rogan, Hinchcliffe, and that whole crowd is being called out, it could be time for Shane Gillis to happily part ways with the Rogan sphere. Not in a way that would make anyone mad, but in like an understanding, sort of wholesome way. Like,
that's never gonna happen. That's never gonna happen. He worked extremely hard to get in, and why would you want to pull away from the Rogan sphere? Like you're still associated with them without being associated with them anyway. You don't have to always hang around with Joe Rogan. You have to always talk about him. He's got his own career solidified. Why would he declare that he's now separating himself? Or that makes no sense. Like you're literally like fucking up your own money. Like just do your own thing, but then you're also loosely associated, and you can pop in whenever when you do Save Our Parks. I think that's a perfect way to manage that Rogan relationship, in my opinion.
How Theo Von left the podcast he did with Brendan Schaub, The King and the Sting, or how Joe Rogan slowly stopped inviting Brendan Schaub back onto JRE. Like, obviously they both wanted nothing to do with him after he bullied Bobby Lee, but to this day, Brendan still thinks of them as close friends. So I could see that sort of thing going down between Shane Gillis and Papa Toe. So in this next clip here, Shane, Matt, and their guest, James McCann, started speaking about Mark Maron calling out Joe Rogan and Tony Hinchcliffe in his latest special. And if there's anything that points to Shane not needing Joe Rogan or the Rogan sphere anymore, it's this clip right here. Because unlike Tony Hinchcliffe or Brendan Schaub, who got completely heated and went into full-blown cope and denial mode about Mark Maron calling them out, Shane just kind of makes light of the entire situation, and even goes as far as to say that he respects what Mark Maron did, since in Shane's eyes, Mark's gotten to a point in his 40-year comedy career where he simply doesn't care anymore and calls a hack when he sees one, which Shane mentions that he could see himself doing when he gets to that point in his career.
It'll blow over. It's a bunch of bullshit, man. Bunch of motherfucking bullshit.
Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing.
It is. It's deeply a bunch of bickering. I don't like it.
We're better together.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Stop Austin hate. That's what I say.
Stop Austin hate.
Don't make it become Austin
beating
strong.
us up in the street, throwing us in front of fucking trains and shit. Stop Austin hate.
Yeah, true. Who do you think's fucking? You think it's a New York comic who's been murdering everyone by Lady Bird Lake?
Certain, without a doubt.
Shane is fucking immature.
Mark Maron is stalking the streets at night,
Killing hacks.
True.
Slaying all the hacks.
So he might be on Assassin's Creed. Just sits in the back of an open mic and goes,
I do respect
how uninspiring.
Yeah. I do respect being old and just being like, fucking hacks. Everyone sucks. They're all fucking hacks. That could be the life cycle I'm in.
So not only does he...
I appreciated it just for the mere fact that everybody was on this carry-on gang thing, right? Everyone was fucking happy-go-lucky, sucking each other off, having each other on their pod, talking about how great the Comedy Store was, who killed, who's a murderer, who's an assassin, who's a ninja, who's a warrior when it comes to the stage. It's just refreshing to have one person at least that's within that kind of community, that's in that orbit, right? That's in that solar system, that's able to say, nah, you're shit. You know, because some of us say it and we're just, you know, as they like to call us, as Bert likes to call us, we're civilians, so we don't count, right? We're regular civilians, so we don't fucking matter. But it hits different, which is why it's kind of spread like wildfire. It hits different when a proper comedian like Mark Maron, who's been passed at certain places, who's had specials on streaming platforms, who tours the world, who's, you know, kind of certified and kind of stamped in his way, when he says it, it resonates more, doesn't it? It stings a lot more, doesn't it? It stings a lot more. So I'm happy that he is around to say that. Maybe some of the hate later on was a little bit, you know, personal, vindictive, and spiteful and shit. But I'm just happy it exists. I'm happy there's somebody that's not just like, because most of the time you see these comedians talking, especially when they sit in front of Rogan, they've got the fucking puppy dog eyes. They're like smiling at everything. They're just so happy to be in front of daddy. It's so fucking cringe. Most of them as well that they platform and that kind of like shove down your throat. They're also super unfunny. So it's just good to hear somebody like a Mark Maron say, yep, these motherfuckers are hacks. These motherfuckers are shit. Because most of the audience thinks it anyway. He's just echoing what the audience says.
Not defend Mr. Rogan when the topic arises here. He actually respects what Mark Maron's done this summer in a kind of twisted sort of way. And I feel that he thinks that this whole beef is just embarrassing. Another interesting point in this podcast was actually brought up by the guest, who told Shane and Matt that channels like Too Lazy to Try and Comedy Enforcement don't really rope Shane into being an Austin comedian, which is completely true. I mean, Shane does have a group of people out there that really don't like him, but that's never really touched on by the channels in this category, which Shane says it's because we all know that he's from Philadelphia, but really, I think it's because he doesn't...
Hold on. Hold on. What are you saying here?
Another interesting point in this podcast was actually brought up by the guest, who told Shane and Matt that channels like Too Lazy to Try and Comedy Enforcement don't really rope Shane into being an Austin comedian, which is completely true. I mean, Shane does have a group of people out there that really don't like him, but that's never really touched on by the channels in this category.
I think people don't like Shane because they don't think he's as funny as people make it seem as. The reason why he doesn't get roped into all that content, or people don't make videos breaking him down and pointing out some of the things he does, because he doesn't do bullshit, mean stuff or bad shit that all the other people do. Simple as that. I don't think it's that hard to explain, really, isn't it? Some of the other guys are like bullies. They're like cheats, liars. You know what I mean? Fucking thieves and shit. It's fucking awful. So they point stuff out, highlight it, and talk about it in their videos. Shane, for the most part, doesn't really do any of that. For the most part, you don't really hear him fucking over openers. You don't really hear him talking down or talking badly about fans. You know, like he doesn't really. If anything, he's achieved quite a lot in the last couple of years. He doesn't really talk about himself like Brendan talks about himself in a way more, congratulatory way than Shane does. Like Shane doesn't even suck himself off, and he probably has every reason to, considering what he's done since, you know, let's say post fucking getting fired from SNL. He's hosted that show fucking twice. Like, it's amazing his fucking comeback. He doesn't even talk about himself. Like, yeah, that's the one. He's self-deprecating, exactly. So I don't know. Like, this is the side of this content stuff that I don't like. People are now worried. People are wondering why somebody doesn't get as much hate as everybody else, instead of just focusing on the people that deserve the hate. You know, there's people out there that deserve the scorn and the ridicule and whatever because they're, you know, they do bullshit stuff, and there's some people that don't. If you don't like his comedy and you think he's unfunny, cool, make the video. But trying to find like something to like hit him over the head with and say, yeah, you also. And also, let's be fair too. Out of all of fucking Joe Rogan's friends, Shane might be the funniest, no? Out of that circle of friends. In that JRE extended universe. It might be Shane and maybe Mark Maron. Mark Normand. Maybe that's it. That's the only person I can think of who's funny within Rogan's circle. That you wouldn't mind watching their stand-up. Generally funny on fucking podcasts and shit. That's it. Mark Normand. That's it. Mark Normand and Shane. That's it.
Which Shane says it's because we all know that he's from Philadelphia, but really, I think it's because he doesn't approach comedy with this sort of snobby, elitist attitude that guys like Tom Segura, Joe...
He's just not a dick. It's not about being snobby. I think Shane, when he starts talking about comedy, he's a proper nerd as well. It's not about being snobby. He's just not a dick. He's just not a dick. He's just not insufferable. He's not obnoxious. He's not arrogant. You know, he doesn't seem to have a massive ego. Again, although he's accomplished a lot, he probably should have a bit of an ego. He seems to be pretty chilled and even killed. Whenever I read on the Shane Gillis Reddit or the My Secret Pod, everyone that bumps into him always says he's really nice in person. They always say he's super, super nice in person. He does the same shit that Bert does, but he doesn't sound as annoying. He drinks with fans after shows and stuff. Like, he goes to games. Seems pretty chill to me. Like, why are we trying to find reasons to hate somebody?
Rogan, Tony Hinchcliffe, and Andrew Schultz all have. And he's also not one to really kiss the floor that Joe Rogan walks on. Like some of these other guys are so scared to call out Joe Rogan on any of the crimes against comedy that he's committed over the years. Like, for example, when Joe Rogan put his own photo between Robin...
Tom's even got the fucking same haircut as Joe, isn't it? That's embarrassing, isn't it? I think even if I was bored, if I sat next to him, I'd wear a hat. Just so no one would think that I'm trying to look like him, you know? If I was bored and I sat next to him, I'd just wear a hat, just so people know, you know?
On any of the crimes against comedy that he's committed over the years. Like, for example, when Joe...
By the way, whoever took this down, whoever noticed this detail is fucking I think it was Elephant Graveyard. But I hope that Rogan saw or heard all the backlash about this and took it down after. I hope that's the case. I hope he took down this picture because of the backlash and not because he just wanted to mix things up, because this is embarrassing, man. Putting your own special on that wall is fucking embarrassing. You can't do that. Put up a specials on the wall that you're inspired by, but you can't put your own special there. Come on.
Rogan put his own photo between Robin Williams and George Carlin's at his Austin Comedy Club. That's gotta be a comedy war crime, and nobody really said anything about it to Rogan. The only reason...
Yeah, big up Jack Donny Jr. This is what I like to hear. I don't know why people think Mark is funny after his first special. He's got 2 to 3 zingers on the Pop podcast, and the same I got drunk and was late to the airport on Tuesdays. Yes, to be fair, I have seen some people on the Reddit basically saying that it's the most repetitive podcast in the world, or markers. It's the same stories, the same fucking things, same issues. I partly stopped listening to Tuesdays with Stories because of the constant narrative that he had about getting late to airports. Like the constant fucking last minute dash out of the fucking hotel room before checkout. Just annoying. Like, I don't know, just enjoying that whole thing. I was like, brother, just sort yourself out, bro. Get to the place on time. I don't know. Wake up. Like, what is this? Why is every day a fucking frantic dash to the airport to get a connecting flight to make sure you fucking get to your fucking airport, the hotel? I don't know. I'm not really the biggest fan of it. But hey, what do I know?
And he took it down was because the Elephant Graveyard made a video about it, calling him out.
Open micer, I was sitting around going, everyone's a fucking hack piece of shit. They suck.
What have you become? This is what you've done since day one.
Who have I called a hack?
I've seen you up the back of comedy rooms.
Okay, in private.
Yeah, no. In private. Only in private. You're very good in public, but...
No, don't worry, dude. We're under the spotlight, though.
I like how he exposed him a bit there. I like how that guy exposed him a bit there. You do that in private too, motherfucker. I like that. I like how he exposed it there. That was really good. Only your friends can do that, bro. That was really good.
Podcast wars.
Butt wipes, please. Butt wipes, please.
I've seen some of these videos.
Butt wipes, forgive us. Dude. Never give him butt wipes. Never give him butt wipes.
They go in the Austin comedy scene, except Shane Gillis, and then they move on. They carve you out at the moment.
Philly till I die, dude.
Shane, Matt, and their guest then go on to talk about the increasing amounts of disabled people that are becoming regulars on Kill Tony, joking about how some of them don't seem as innocent as they portray themselves to be. And honestly, I just find this whole topic to be extremely interesting.
Not to be fair, I think I listened to the episode, I think the disabled topic was relating to sports, if I'm not mistaken. Because if you go to sports stadiums or just watch sports in general, the people that sit in the disabled rows, they're fucking crazy. Recently, anyway, I think one person pulled a player, threw a ball at him. Like they're pretty intense when they go watch sports. So I think that was the point they were making. I don't think the point was making there's too many disabled people on Kill Tony. I think they were saying just in sports stadiums overall, and they're fucking crazy. But I could be wrong. Maybe I misheard it.
And I would love to know what you guys think about it, because to me, it's always been a net positive that Tony Hinchcliffe platforms good comics no matter what they look or sound like. But I've seen some differing opinions about it online, and I am aware that the Legion of Skanks guys pranked Tony Hinchcliffe by bringing on their latest golden ticket winner, which was hilariously a guy dressed up as a burn victim who couldn't even say anything on stage, which Tony seemed to be kind of pressed about.
I think this guy could be the next...
I would love to see it. Maybe we'll send him down to Austin because he's fucking great. He's the best. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, give it up for Jimmy Trejo. Jimmy Trejo, come on. That's talented.
That's a good joke. That's a fucking good joke.
Guy.
Nice.
Jimmy.
Wow. I see why you guys keep him behind a paywall.
So overall, I think it's more complex than I once thought, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on it in the comments.
We have all the butt wipes.
They're doing a nice successful blockade on the butt wipes. They're going into like deep political theory. I mean, like it's actually fascist. You go, fuck, I didn't think about that.
It's gonna backfire. You can't do that.
Blue Chew, are you okay doing business with me?
You can't call the group fascist.
But then you can't say you're not fascist.
It's gonna be like Cracker Barrel. It's gonna be like Vanity Fair.
True.
You can't do that.
True.
They're gonna go, well,
there's 1,000 disabled guys going, we will stand with you for 1 minute, I'll get that.
The disabled guys are little nasty fucks, dude.
They're the ones no one's keeping an eye on.
Climber fuckers.
What, dude, yeah. Think about it.
You think because of the disability, you're like, this guy must be a sweetheart. Then you talk to him and you go, this guy's a little climber. No. This guy's a little nasty fuck.
Think about the drudgery.
And that could be any of them. I'm not
Well, some of them don't have a lot of time. They've got to establish the career very quickly.
I think those guys, they seem good.
Which specific disabled?
They're all fake.
Dude, think about the fucking dread and like drudgery of just being like a healthy young man in an office. You're like, I got to escape this form that is my life. If you fucking strap me down and like scramble my fucking wires, I'd be like, I gotta fucking do something about this.
Yeah, you gotta nothing but respect for the disabled bros.
For sure,
killing it.
They get me every time.
Does New York have any disabled men?
A lot of stairs in that.
There's a couple disabled men.
A lot of fake ass motherfuckers.
Yeah, the cellar.
You gotta get carried down into the cellar.
True. Yeah, is that place even fucking? Is that place ADA compliant, by the way?
The stand?
Let me find out the sellers on 88 complain.
If you go in the front, yeah, they'll get some of those guys.
I was about to make a YouTube video, thank God. I was about to fucking trash them.
Dude, the New York comedy scene, we're coming for you.
We need ramps.
We need ramps, dude. That's one thing Austin's got a fuck ton of. Every comedian takes 30 minutes to get to the stage. They got to sit on one of those fucking... You see our pool parties. Everyone's getting dipped in by those poolside chairs.
We should get a zip line from the balcony.
So at the end of the day, Shane Gillis doesn't really want to be grouped in with the Rogan Sphere guys anymore. Not because he really hates them, but because he doesn't really need to be in it. Like he's carved out a lane that's just way bigger than Joe Rogan's comedy death squad could ever be. So Rogan's inner circle might be scrambling to defend themselves against critics like Mark Maron, but Shane has already moved past that. And with that being...
Come on, man, come on. It's not about moving past. He's just doing his own thing, and I don't think it's moving past it. Just his own thing. It doesn't have to be a pitting against people in each other. He's just doing his own thing. It's successful. He doesn't need to be standing next to Rogan all the time. But do you know what I mean? Come on, man. Come on. Let's chill. And also, you know, I don't know, whatever. Big up American Redact, but I don't agree with that point.